So this is the brand new HP Omen 16. This is the Intel model. I don't know if you guys remember, but I did review the AMD version about 3 months ago. It's a bit different in terms of performance and battery life, so I do want to talk about that. But the design and the characteristics of this laptop are pretty much identical. Now, before I begin, Best Buy was kind enough to sponsor this portion of the video. And look, Black Friday's here, and there's tons of amazing deals happening right now on gaming laptops. If you're looking for the Asus ROG Strix G15 Advantage, usually retails for $1,700, but right now you can pick it up for $1099, and that gets you a Ryzen 9 5980HX, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and an RX 6800M. You even get 1 month of Xbox Game Pass. If you're looking for an Intel laptop, the Gigabyte Aorus 15 is using an i7-12700H with an RTX 3070. And if you're looking for something a bit smaller, a 14-inch gaming laptop, the Acer Triton 300 usually retails for $1,600. It's on sale right now for $1,200. The best thing you can do is go on their website, do a sort by best discounts, and see all the deals that are happening. Links to everything will be in the description down below. Now, being a black laptop, it does collect a lot of fingerprints. I'm constantly wiping it down, and also if you press the top of the lid, it feels very squishy. Like, this doesn't feel premium. I understand there are some aluminum alloys embedded into the top of the lid, but it still feels a lot like plastic. It does have a good amount of I/O. So for example, on the left-hand side, you do have a USB-A port, RJ45 with the flap. Be careful with these things, they do break easy. Always place your cables gently inside of them. Audio jack, and then of course a full-size SD card slot. On the right-hand side, you have 2 more USB ports, and then on the back, you have 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, which the AMD version did not have, HDMI 2.1, and of course, your power connector. Now, the reason why the top lid is so flexible is because they placed a gap between the top lid and the bottom, and a lot of people used to complain about this and feel like the display would break. But I've reviewed a lot of these Omens, and it's never broke, so I wouldn't worry about it. Plus, they added a little rubber stopper here so that the display doesn't go all the way down. The hinge is still very, very, very wobbly, okay? Like, you open this thing up and it just doesn't speak confidence, okay? These hinges need to be tightened up, and I'm hoping on a future HP Omen model, they'll do exactly that. It just makes the laptop feel very, very cheap. Obviously, you have plastic bezels on the bottom of the display. They're fairly thin overall, at least on the sides. The keyboard deck looks very attractive, but it's not the best keyboard, you know? The deck of it is a little squishy. The keys do have good travel distance, but I just don't like the amount of force. They do feel a bit too mushy. Touchpad, very big. Like, this is a nice big touchpad, but it's not the most accurate touchpad I've used. Now, don't be fooled by the Bang & Olufsen speaker. It may have been tuned by them, but the speakers are on the bottom of the laptop and they sound okay. They're nothing really to write home about. I do like the bottom though. I think it looks really nice, and you do get a quick glimpse of the fans that are inside of the laptop. Now, I don't know if you can hear this, but the fans are on, and I'm not doing anything, okay? And the profile right now is set on balance, but the fans are still humming. And just like the previous AMD model, it happens to have coil whine. So I'm gonna put this up to the microphone, and you guys let me know if you can hear it. So just imagine when these fans are roaring, and they do get very loud every time you game or do something very intensive, the fans do get a little whiny. So just keep that in mind if you're considering this laptop, because fan noise under auto could get up to 60 decibels, which is really loud for a gaming laptop. Like, I don't want 60 decibels on my gaming laptop. Usually 55 is the top end under performance mode that I like to see. But the display is better because on the previous version, I reviewed the 1920 by 1080p panel. This one is QHD, and it's 16 inches. It's not 16 by 10, obviously, and you do get pretty good color accuracy and color gamut. I'd feel confident editing a video on this or doing any sort of photo work, and it looks great for gaming. It's a matte display, so you're not going to get a ton of reflection. Now, this webcam is 720p, so it's not the best webcam, but of course you can use some of HP's camera software if you want to do things like auto framing. If you're doing anything that's CPU related, then you're just going to get better performance with the Intel model. It just runs faster, regardless of whether you're doing single core or multi-core workloads. If you're doing any sort of creative applications, the fact that this has QuickSync does provide extra benefits when it comes to rendering or transcoding. So if you're using a lot of CPU related stuff, then Intel is obviously obviously favorable. When it comes to gaming, you do have the QHD display, so this does handle games at QHD quite fine, but I didn't see that big of a difference at 1080p compared to the RTX 3060 that was inside of the AMD model that I reviewed 3 months ago. Now, just like the AMD model, you do have a mux switch, so you can switch back and forth between hybrid and discrete graphics, and you don't have to restart the computer to do that. But the weird thing though is that this thing does get a lot hotter than the AMD version. And I expected it since it's using an Intel processor. In fact, it would get up to the 90s and it would stay there much longer than the previous AMD CPU. And even towards the end of the test, around 10 minutes, it started to thermal throttle a little bit. Like the CPU never got to the point where I'd be concerned, but it just stayed hotter longer, which some people might not like. Internally, very similar cooling situation. You have 2 fans, lots of copper running across the middle. You do have a swappable RAM. This can go up to 64 gigabytes. Right now I have 16 inside of here. It is rank 16, but not a big deal for DDR5. Swappable Wi-Fi 6E card. Then you have 2 slots for storage. This one happens to be empty, so you can always put a second drive. And of course, if you don't like the size of this one, you can always swap it out for a 2 terabyte. Now, battery is another area where AMD happens to win. It's an 83 watt-hour battery, just like the AMD model, but this went up to about 5 hours and 41 minutes compared to, I think it was 9 hours on the AMD version, which is a big difference. So if you're the type of dude who's bringing their gaming laptop to school, then you probably would favor the AMD model. So I'll be straight up with you. I personally don't feel like the HP Omen is the most premium feeling laptop on the market. There's a lot of little things that need to be corrected for future versions. Is it a bad laptop? No, not at all. And I think if you're looking at this, you should probably wait for a really good deal. And it has to be better than the competition to consider it. Now, if you are picking one up, it comes down to 2 things. Do you want better battery life and a cooler system? Then go for the AMD model. If you are happy with the battery life that this thing can produce and want maximum performance, then obviously you're gonna go with the Intel model. Either way, it comes down to your personal preference. Links to both of these, the AMD and Intel version, will be in the description down below, along with all the Best Buy Black Friday deals. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.